Okay, so I'm searching through the different sites that I typically go to see what's going on in the comic book and or geek space in general at large. And I saw this article about a book. Now, I'm due for a good book. I haven't really read a good sci-fi book or fantasy in maybe a year. And so I saw this article and they're covering this genre that I've never heard of before. It's called a comfort fantasy. If one of you have heard of this, say something in the comments. Is this like a really big deal? I'm not going to lie and act like I'm that big on a book scene. I definitely have books that I read and things I enjoy, but I knew nothing about this comfort fantasy. This is a new one for me. So let's check out this article. This book is called Guard in the Garden by Zas Diamanti, a comfort fantasy review. This is crazy that there is a whole genre of books that I have honestly never heard of. I went back in my mental Rolodex and I was like, did I miss this? Like, did I have I heard of something like this and it just like blew past me? I don't think I have. Okay, cozy fantasy is a subgenre of fantasy that has gained a lot of traction in the past few years and is identified primarily by a lack of high stakes, not much in the way of action, and um, and an easy going plot aimed more at putting the reader at ease than sweeping them off to an adventure untold. Cozy fantasy rolls off the tongue easily, but it is a feminine word. Often, the books most popular in the genre are equally feminine in nature, with no small amount of them being um, sapphic romance about other about other slice of life activities such as knitting or running a coffee house. Comfort is more accurate. Comfort is a more accurate nomenclature, especially for this book. Guard in the Garden is a fantasy comfort food by Z.S. Diamanti. You know, I can see an appeal to something like this. And the reason I say I can see an appeal to something like this is sometimes we just want an escape from everything, including drama. We don't want any high stakes. We don't want any thrill. We just want a feel good story. I could definitely see why this is a big deal. And I guess from reading this, I'm gathering this is more of a big deal amongst women. Somebody say something in the comments. I don't know much about this. This is completely new to me. Cozy fantasy is about vibes, relaxing, and easy going in its reads. If you want a good example of the kind of story to expect, look to the Shire opening of the Fellowship of the Ring. The Harvest Moon and the Animal Crossing games are also stalwart examples of the storytelling with no fail state. But whereas the genre is littered with a lot of effeminate books, Z.S. Diamanti adds a decidedly masculine touch by having a book about an injured war veteran in a role he didn't ask for. Yo, you know what? That's actually interesting. That is actually super interesting. Like taking a genre that is typically going a certain way and saying, you know what? Everybody always writes these books this way. I'm going to do something different. Yo, this, it may or may not work. I don't know anything about this genre. I'm not in on this space, this side of geekdom at all. So it may be that people who are really into this might just reject this outright. It sounds like an interesting concept to me. This sounds like something I might actually read. The book is set in Finlistia, the world of his Stone and Sky trilogy, which I've previously reviewed and enjoyed. Readers who previously read his work made note that his writing already had a slice of life element to the books when characters were in between battles, moments of drama and adventuring. Uh, set set sometime between the first and second book, it follows Felton Hold'em, a dwarf warrior, and Garvok Rider, a large winged panther. Yo, you know what? And this is the interesting thing about articles like this that I just happened upon. I might buy his other books just to read those and then read this book if this is an in between. Yo, good books are a treasure. A treasure. I remember I was overseas at the time. I'm going to go into a little story. I was overseas at the time, and everybody I worked with overseas was like, had their heads buried in this book. And I'm like, yo, I asked one of my boys, I was like, yo, what is everyone reading? What is going on? He was like, oh, you haven't read Ready Player One? And I was like, this was years ago before the movie. And I was like, no, what is that? I picked up that book and I lost nights of sleep reading that book. I could not put it down. It was a good book. So much so that I bought Ernest Cline's other book, Armada. And Armada is another good one. It is a masterpiece. That dude, he really puts out some good work. I was kind of saddened that the movie was so different from the book in the way everything began. It had the same feel, right? So I can't be too mad. And I believe Ernest Cline also wrote the screenplay for the movie. I think he started out writing screenplays and couldn't get any placement, and that's what sent him into writing books, which led to Ready Player One. Anyway, so yeah, books like that, they catch you and you figure out that, yo, I like this author, and you go find out their other works. And I think, yo, I may actually look this dude's books up. Okay, where was I? At the start of the book, Felton witnesses his commanding officer devoured by a dragon, is subsequently injured in his leg by an arrow, and his winged gravhawk is killed. In the aftermath, like any good warrior, he is itching to get back to fighting, but his injury and lack of a mount mean he can't return to his previous command. He tries to go back to previous positions as a warhog rider, but his injury again prevents him from being effective at the role. Stuck with a limp that is slow to heal, the only role he is permitted to hold is in the understaffed city guard in the most quiet district imaginable. And I believe, because I watched a video about this dude, I believe this dude is actually a veteran himself. So this probably greatly helped him dealing with some things, maybe some PTSD he had. I don't really know. I think it's going to go over this in an article. Zas Diamanti's previous service in the military lends the book a more personal touch, one that's rarely brought about in fantasy stories. What does a warrior do when he can't go back like he wants? What kind of life is he supposed to lead now? What good is he if he can't fight effectively? How does he cope with his life? How does he cope with his life now, devoid of the brotherhood of warriors he once had? Felton struggles with feelings of guilt, uselessness, and has frequent nightmares that bring an element of PTSD that many modern former servicemen suffer with. And yo, so okay, I can see this taking off, especially amongst people who have PTSD and just need something good to read that maybe might help them cope with that. Yo, dope idea. Though these are heavy topics for a comfort fantasy, they are never so heavy that it brings the mood of the book down. In fact, one of the book's strengths is how it portrays the importance of a good support structure to one's recovery. Yo, kudos to this dude, man. It's hard enough to write as it is. To do something like this is actually kind of incredible. Let's see. Throughout all of this, Felton is backed by the support of side characters, his twin aunts, whom he stays with, his burgeoning love interest, and her daughter, members of the district he guards and befriends. Felton is a lovable grump, discontent with his sudden lot in life, but too proud to let others down by being dour or unapproachable. He comes to aid others in an effort to keep himself busy and not dwelling on his many issues, and ultimately finds that he is not just another face in the crowd, but a valued neighbor and stalwart presence in a community district that is healing from an attack in a parallel manner to his own healing journey. This extends to his personal life, as the book does have a romantic subplot. The garden part of the district is tended to by a human woman named Tilly and her young daughter Lily. Felton becomes a surrogate father figure to Lily as his relationship with Tilly grows over the course of the book. While romance is usually a topic dealt with by female authors, and male authors who write it tend to have mixed results, Zas Diamanti handles Felton and Tilly's burgeoning relationship with simplicity and tact. It never becomes so sappy and feels grounded. Tilly is a sweet character that complements Felton's gruff personality. Kudos to the author. Again, it's already hard enough to write as it is. To pull off something like this has got to be quite the feat. Lest one think that the entire book deals with trauma and romance, know that these are actually much smaller elements of the story. Much of it is Felton's navigating through his friends and family affable attempts to bring him into slice of life activities and good-hearted encounters with locals. He talks about his aunt's cooking, helps repair parts to the district, has humorous encounters with Tam, a tortoise who dwell a tortoise. I don't know why I said tortoise. A tortoise who dwells in the garden, who only moves when Felton isn't looking at him, judges a pie eating contest. Actually, there's a lot of eating and food in the book. Do not read this if you're hungry. I wonder if they have like recipes of the book. That would be dope. Guard in the Garden is a delightful story that never goes too far into the challenging aspects of its heavier topics and always maintains a comforting read. Readers looking for a change of pace in their usual reads will find a heartwarming story of a man trying to hold the fragmented pieces of his life together with friends and family. If you're interested, the book can be bought directly from the author and comes in a box with stickers and even a recipe, okay, from one of the many foods eaten by the characters. While not a book for readers who want more exciting and adventurous tale, it is perfect for readers looking for something easy or perfect for kids. The author writes accessible all-age fantasy in both cozy and classic fantasy. Yo, I like that. I like an author who can write a book that is good, riveting, that doesn't have to necessarily be edgy at every end. I think we've really overdone the edgy thing. I don't mind edgy. I don't mind it. But I think sometimes we go overboard with edgy to the point where there's certain things, if you have young kids, it's like, yo, I can't enjoy any of these things with my young kids. And some of this stuff, as a parent, I will say, as a parent, a lot of what you enjoy, you would love to enjoy those things with your children. And I'm glad that somebody has taken the time to create something that you can do just that with. This is actually pretty dope.